Hello and welcome to Weekly Open. I'm Ledger, aka Brian Karsgaard, here with Luke Martin and DonAlt. Happy to be here with you to talk markets today. Before we get to the show, this episode is brought to you by Blockfolio. Go to weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio. Check it out today. You can trade directly on Blockfolio, swap from one asset to the other, and it is a fantastic experience. Works super well. Powered by FTX. We're happy to have them as a partner for Weekly Open. Try it today. Smooth mobile interface that you can rely on every single time. Luke, take it away.
That's what you need in the morning, man. That's what you need to start your week. You need somewhere you can get your trades off. And we were just saying, things don't look bad. You know, over the past week, over the past weekend, it's like the whole world was kind of selling off. You had stocks and everything. Everyone's wondering if they're going to open red, and we're kind of blessed this Weekly Open with ETH moving up a little bit. Bitcoin's still at 50K, and you know it's not like we're ripping higher, but I think there's going to be some trade opportunities this week for sure. Don, what do you see?
I agree. I mean, it's kind of been the story that we've seen every market bounce, like you said. Everything's correlated again. The one thing that I'm watching is ETH PTC, and I can quickly share that. So we talked about this last week, this support that we made greener because we wanted it to hold, and it did hold and it did bounce. So that needs to go a little bit higher, and then I'll see some strength, and I want to get positioned if it can kind of break that box to the upside, because that's still resistance. If you get rejected there, that'd be sad, because then I don't think this would hold again. So this is do or die, I think, and.
The dark green box, though, did the trick.
Yeah, the dark green box. I mean, you guys made me, and it's worked, so I should implement that in my trading from now on.
Should we just move it up a notch, like below that breakdown candle from November, and say like
it's just
dark?
I mean, we could make it like
that's right. That's right. Let the magic happen, man.
But then if it does start closing back below it, now we're in trouble.
Yeah, we don't want to curse the dark green box.
I don't want to push our luck there.
Yeah,
we need to lighten that up a bit.
Yeah, this has to stay. But yeah,
overall, it was super encouraging to see ETH actually be able to do something on a day where Bitcoin was relatively flat. My hope going into the weekend actually was I hope Bitcoin just stays flat and lets other stuff do something. Because, you know, we've been seeing the weakness of how those weekend moves on Bitcoin, they tend to just revert either Sunday night or Monday morning, so that the legacy market can kind of get started fresh from where it ended on Friday. So I just don't trust anything Bitcoin on the weekends. But when ETH or alts do stuff, I feel like some of that can sustain, and I feel like we actually saw that today.
Yeah, you know what I like to watch as well. It's Bitcoin's gone through it for the past 3 or 4 months. Is when there's good news, if the market is reacting positively to that, even if it's not like ripping, it's like okay, that's a pretty good sign. Like ETH getting this news of Vitalik potentially helping scaling, and then you have this EIP kind of hype coming out that it could happen in July. It's like ETH actually respond. Look, ETH isn't going to 0.055. We're not at 2,500 5K ETH, but it responded, right? At least it didn't keep falling. So it's the first kind of good sign. Now we have to see if we can actually put a good week together, but who knows?
Yeah. So I want to give you guys a test. Do you remember what your top watch last week was, so that we can review how we did, or like what was the outcome from what we wanted to see happen last week and what we've actually got this week? Because I feel like we should introduce that kind of prior what we're looking for and keep us honest, you know.
What were you looking at?
Oh, yeah, I still remember mine, I think. But mine was boring. Mine was Bitcoin.
What was yours? We talked to a specific level, I guess, on Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah, I can share it, actually.
Do it.
So we talked about this resistance here. I think I'm pretty certain that was that. So we had this green candle, right? 7 days ago? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, roughly. Yeah. So I wanted to see it close back above. Now what happened was that the SPX or like the traditional markets just sold off heavily. And that's something that it's just going to ruin your Bitcoin TA basically all the time. I mean, it's just, in my eyes anyway, and I know a bunch of people would disagree, when you get that traditional market volatility, what you kind of start doing is you ignore necessarily, you don't have to necessarily stick to the Bitcoin TA that you've done. You just kind of look for relative strength, right? So you see the traditional markets are selling off. You're looking for relative strength from Bitcoin against the traditional market. So what happened was sold off, closed back below the level, but I think that was mostly caused by the traditional market selling off, and now we've reclaimed it. So I wanted to kind of this level to be maintained and then this level to be broken, and both happened.
Nice.
Just took 2 tries on this one.
Dom, what are you looking at this week as you have the Bitcoin chart up? You think if we get above 52, then we can really start moving? Like, that is kind of the last hope for bears or for shorts right there. That's a big invalidation point if we start moving above there. Yeah?
Yeah, I think we will just move above it. If the traditional markets don't sell off heavily, I don't see a reason why we would. I think this was the real test.
Yep.
I mean, this level has been tested a bunch of times. I wouldn't want to bet on it. So it's more the Bulls in my mind have already won. And if they lose, the only way that they can lose is actually losing the support again.
Sure.
So for me, I think this is probably just going to go up. I wouldn't want to bet on 52. So yeah, sure. I think it's going to go up.
So you'd be looking for a mid time frame entry if you were seeking some kind of additional leverage trade.
This has been a nice retest today of daily support. So that's already enough. And then would target higher. And if that starts failing again, which I mean is possible, right? But even if it does start failing again, I just expect it to chop at this point. The only real, if you'd expect it to go down in general, just after this, because what we've done is basically we've only moved up, then we've broken down, and the bears couldn't even manage to kind of get a second leg in. It's just been consolidating. It's been consolidating too long in my eyes to kind of warrant a big drop, just based on the fact, it could happen, obviously, anything can happen, but I don't think it should happen just based on the fact that trend's been strong, and as long as the traditional markets don't completely go and shit the bed, I don't think there's a good reason to expect us to shit the bed.
You know, it's been nice too, at least from the charting perspective, the sign of strength, and we haven't retraced that Elon candle on the middle of your screen right there, that wasn't the day he bought. That was the day it was announced he bought. But whenever you have a breakout like that, it's like the 20K breakout. We never went back and retested 20K because buyers wanted to step in. Every single dip got bought back up. And even if that isn't happening as violently yet, it's that's a pretty damn good sign that we didn't just sell back into that. Someone's stepping in. So I don't know. I like to see it.
Yeah, Don, I'll pick up mine. At least what I think I was watching. I challenged you guys, but now I don't remember if what I'm actually about to show you is what mine was or not.
I think I know yours still. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the DeFi strength, and 2 things that I specifically look for. And what's interesting about Aave, which I said I was going to use as my stand-in, it achieved one but not the other. So it got the 20-day reclaim, but it didn't get the horizontal. The key horizontal on Aave is 420 in my mind. So it flipped the this fast trend moving average on the 20-day. So Aave is kind of not quite there, but what was interesting was, and I shifted a lot of my exposure, is Uni definitely did everything I wanted and more. And maybe what was a big part of this was look, this looks like a great entry right here. So Uni on the daily caught an all-time high and now is on a perfect BTC relative all-time high. So I love this. I love this look. So I feel like, blue chip DeFi is showing some strength alongside Ethereum. Ethereum's not just totally stealing it. And then the 20-day flip happened on just about every asset that I watch, like Ethereum and Bitcoin, Aave, all the ones that were kind of in that underneath zone. They've shown me enough, and now I can do some rotation trades if I want. So I generally think what I was hoping to happen did happen. Aave wasn't the strongest in the bunch, though, because Uni kind of stole the show this weekend.
Yeah. Does that Uni move? Does that make you want to like? People have kind of been trading like the sushi to Uni parity. I don't fully understand whether or not sushi could reach that. I've seen positive things about how closely they work with Wi-Fi and how they're kind of also migrating with Solana potentially. But it's like, do you think sushi is kind of a catch-up trade to always play whenever Uni pops?
I basically feel like if sushi moves first, Uni will probably follow to some degree. If Uni goes first, sushi will probably follow to some degree. And I think the price action for me, I like out of all those DeFi blue chips, I like Uni, Sushi, and Aave the most in terms of getting kind of a clean picture. And I think there's probably several reasons in that, but a big part of it is like their legitimate use cases. Everyone's using those products, and their emission schedules aren't like totally difficult to comprehend. Like Curve could kind of fit in that landscape, but I have a fear of trading Curve because their emission schedules are totally confusing to me, and like you can wrap it 10 different ways. I feel like like all their pools and stuff, and so yeah, those three are the ones that I like to play the rotation trade on. So I actually did that. I switched half my Uni position after a 20-something% day, just tossed it in Aave, hoping it might track, and hasn't yet. But they're basically at the same level, and I feel like there's some upside potential there on Aave if it hits that 420 flip.
Yeah, the sushi Uni relationship is super interesting.
Yeah, and sushi. I did a chart stream. Sushi looks quite good on both the BTC and USD pair right now. Yeah. I can pull those up real quick. So that's, ETH is obviously giving the avenue for strength here, and one component will be, can ETH steal the show? But Sushi's on. Looks like an arbitrary line, but it's there for some reason. I can't remember what. But like the BTC pair is consolidating pretty nicely on Sushi. So can it follow Uni and go to its prior all-time highs from the end of DeFi summer? That's kind of an interesting trade. It looks like maybe destined to just get stopped out. I don't know.
Pretty tight, yeah.
Yeah, but worth watching. The stop is just kind of a relative basis, but I think the upside is people will just be putting a magnet on this all-time high daily close back here. Yeah. So that was one that I really wanted to watch. And then I mentioned Curve. This is not got the 20-day flip yet, but it's something I want to watch. What I find interesting is when you can get some of these laggards, if they make these trend flips, like they find some kind of relative bottom. I do think Curve is interesting. I just feel like if it makes this flip, I am assuming Sushi and Aave and some of those will probably just go faster. That tends to happen on these. Like the laggards lag for a reason.
Yeah. The lag has been kind of the bad trade. In DeFi, it's been okay, but like if you kind of look at all the laggard trades on the other coins, it's just been
horrible,
not happening, right?
Yeah. Bagswell in the chat says there's some kind of Sushi announcement Wednesday and a release on Friday.
There we go.
So maybe there's some stuff there. I think Uni 3.0 is imminent, and that's starting to be priced in. One of the reasons that I started watching that is I think it was Hasaka. Somebody was talking about how a lot of wallet activity with whales and investors was occurring with Uni, which could have signaled either some unlocks or potentially preparing for 3.0 or who knows what. But It got me interested enough to take that position, and I went quite heavy on that in terms of like spot weightage. I don't know if weightage is a word.
I don't know if it is, but we should start using that each week.
It's Monday. It's Monday, no, so give me some.
There should be a weightage segment. What's your guys' weightage this week? Oh man, what the hell was I looking at last week? We were looking at. I was more just looking at the general narrative of ETH. Don, can you pull that chart up by chance?
The ETH BTC one.
Yeah,
again.
ETH BTC. And this one's like, man, it's so funny. Like you could be right on ETH, and it's still going to be the most boring chart. Like we haven't seen a scenario where ETH steals.
It doesn't look like it's moved.
Yeah, we haven't seen ETH steal the show in so long. Like beginning of 2021 for sure. And like quiet. Like felt way better about the ETH trade way back in October, November. That was when I was like proudly like, yes, very overweight ETH. Now ever since for like the past month or two, it's like, fuck, am I really still overweight ETH? So I don't know. It's positive to see some of that news come out and ETH reacting well, but it's like this trade still has barely even started. Like you have to see this above 0.038. I think 0.055 is inevitable, but it's starting to feel like one of those things is if everyone thinks it's inevitable, is it actually going to happen? I still think
the inevitable magnet that never clicks.
Yeah,
you know?
Like I still think it does. It's one of those narratives. It's like the ETH. 2.0, 3.0 they were always going to come out with that always turned into just a trading opportunity. It's like EIP I think is actually going to happen. We'll see. I'm going to have someone on the show.
No, it's passed. It's like I think it was voted in to be included in the summer release, the 1559 thing.
It's voted, but like how do we make sure that summer release happens? Because I feel like every summer that I've been in crypto, we get a new ETH. We never see the new ETH, but I've heard about it. So I don't know, man. Like I think that actually could be the catalyst. We'll see if we trade it.
Do y'all think 0.055 has Bitcoin 6K potential? Like everybody looks at it like this target magnet, and then instead of stopping there, it just blows right through it.
Could.
Is that just Ethiopian?
No, I think that's possible. I mean, if it does break 0.038, right? That's like the high time frame resistance in my eyes. I mean, I'd be surprised if it didn't. I mean, I could see it go way past that. I could see it.
I could as well.
I mean, it starts getting ridiculous in comparison to Bitcoin when it gets that high again.
Yeah.
Right.
But then again, like maybe that happens at the top of the cycle. Maybe that happens. I mean, I could still see it happen, right? We have XRP last cycle at like above Bitcoin valuation, basically. So, I mean, it could easily happen, I think, if it does finally start breaking out. It's not done so yet, though.
Yeah, it's just it's not going to be an exciting trade. So we'll see, though. We'll see.
Yeah,
have wild.
I think part of it is like, you know, when we talk about Ethereum now, we don't even really lump it in with altcoins anymore, and I think that makes the ETH BTC relative moves a little bit harder because I feel like ETH and BTC are just treated as majors now. You know, like ETH is kind of
definitely
escalated in terms of where it sits on the totem pole, and that's good and bad. Like it probably has better relative strength versus what other altcoins will do, but it also, you know, it's going to be difficult to outperform because I feel like BTC and ETH can both now run together, dump together, whatever.
Yeah.
One of the things that it seems like a blessing and a curse. My bad, Don. One of the things that seems like a blessing and a curse is the DeFi has obviously been a very positive narrative for ETH. I think it helped the run, 6 months ago, but now it's like I think people look at altcoins and they say, okay, if Aave and Sushi and Uni and Link can run 30% in a week, like is ETH really gonna ETH running 30% in a week is like a historic week for ETH. And so when people are looking for upside, they're looking at the altcoin versus
there's constant outflow to DeFi.
It's like why bid ETH when it just catches a way slower rise? What were you saying? I didn't mean to cut you.
I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, basically. I mean, it's always the problem with the ETH BTC chart or with any BTC chart, really, that's approaching the highest that it set previously, right? You're like, okay, this is so bullish, it's trending up. So it could easily, you just look at the chart and you're like, okay, this could easily break the highest and just go, right? But then you have to realize that at some point, the higher it goes, it actually surpasses Bitcoin's market cap, which I don't know how you guys think about it, but for me, that's always a hard cap where it's at least not in the next few years, never going to go above. So you have it capped, right? And then you have the other altcoins that can go much, much higher and not even get close. So you have that upside on the other altcoins, but you have this as much more stable, I think.
Yeah, I don't think the flipping of ETH and Bitcoin is really something that's something to worry about. And if it ever does happen, we're very, very close to the whole bull market ending. I just don't buy it. But that's, let's see, currently that's almost a 4x is what you'd have to, or over a 4x that you'd have to do that. So that's
still some room.
Quite a move.
Yeah.
So you could
go
to
again, there's more ETH now than there was, right?
Yeah, there's the emission schedule throughout that process. So I don't know, like 0.1, 0.12 maybe. Somewhere the flipping is above 0.1.
Okay. Got some room then.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
it's
Ethereum,
not that much though, really. Like, if you're thinking about it, if you're thinking about it, like, it's not that much to get like
the flipping
really
talk
close.
will be really high over like 5K, and then it'll be just pounding at like 8K, USD.
Wow, that's high numbers there.
Yeah. I won't even complain then. I'll just sell happily. AK ETH.
Yeah.
I'll look at fees.wtf and cry like on a daily basis is what I'll do.
Don't open that site, Ledger.
It's too late, man. I've done it. It's bad. It hurts. It feels bad. Don't like it at all.
What kind of go ahead.
There's one other thing I was going to note, which was that the other time I remember, like when that people rush to DeFi instead of ETH, when that stops becoming true. The only 2 days I remember that happening was when it broke the all-time high right here. 2 big candles. If I recall correctly, I think there was quite a bit of DeFi outflow back into ETH. People thinking, "Wow, we're just going to go to 3K right now."
Yep.
And then it went back to DeFi during the stairs up. So I do think money can flow into ETH if the trade becomes obvious, like that was all-time high break, that 1375. And it became less obvious, and the catch-up trade started to happen instead. So if we get a big thrust, then I think DeFi could hurt at the same time ETH goes up, and that'll probably be very, very much along whenever the the 1559 stuff kicks in. And I mean that's going to be that is a true fundamental shift. Yeah. Along the lines of the halving, and there's always is the halving priced in type of narrative, and then you see Bitcoin pump like crazy once that you actually see the emissions lower, but the demand for the coins increase. It's just that's a fundamental thing. It has nothing to do with anything else. I think this will be the same. If Grayscale and others are hoovering up Ethereum, and then we start burning a crap load of Ethereum every single block. I think it'll be extraordinarily bullish for Ethereum, and we will get this like large run in Ethereum, and it could include outflows from DeFi. But we'll see it the most. We'll see it the most as we start getting like a big pulse up, like a significant candle. And until then, I feel like it will be difficult for Ethereum to be the pusher because people will constantly say, well, I want more, from the DeFi landscape.
Right.
Bitcoin ran into the same thing in 2017. It's been interesting that it's because people aren't trading those Bitcoin pairs anymore. Like it's not really happening with Bitcoin anymore, but we're seeing the same concept take place with Ethereum this cycle.
Right. I was going to ask you guys on the other side of the market, which is some would say is like in a 2017 ICO hype frenzy, the NFT side. I was going to see if there was any craziness that you guys were tracking this past week or any NFT purchases you made. I saw Kobe and who was it, Path last night. They were unboxing some waifus, which were like this new NFT, which instead of a CryptoPunk, it's like an anime wife. Where are you guys at now? Are you guys buying NFTs in the past week, Don? Ledger, you guys still staying away?
No, I'm personally not like in all these kind of, for me, it's kind of just people are trying to make a bunch of money out of nothing, basically. I mean, there's some cool stuff around, and I definitely agree that there's value there, but it's just like right now, it's super crazy. I mean, have you seen the Taco Bell NFT stuff that came out earlier? Like, what?
There was a tweet this morning about a Taco Bell NFT.
Yes.
Yeah. A real one.
Yeah.
Yes.
They tweeted something about it. I was very surprised. I went and looked at my normally Twitter stuff. I saw 2 or 3 NFT mentions plus a couple other crypto mentions and one person that had even made an NFT. Granted, they're an actual artistic person and their NFT was one of the cooler ones I've seen, but that made me a little nervous. I feel like there is some real hype around NFTs that is going mainstream. Top Shots is a huge part of that. Yep. I'm very bullish on NFT infrastructure, though. So I separate it from, I think waifus are real dumb. I actually just sold the last of my hash masks. So I'm fully out of hash masks now. I never got into punks, but I feel like the valuations for some of the NFT based art are quite high, but I actually feel like the token standards around NFTs are going to drive a lot of XYZ on the blockchain type of innovation. I interviewed Piers Kicks on my LedgerCast show, and he does a good job of describing some of that.
So what are like the best like people describe being able to buy the infrastructure, right? Like the infrastructure, the tokens that would represent the platforms. Like what is the best NFT player? Like what are a couple of them? I know ENJ is one engine. You have
so there's the platform side of things where people are like doing scaling for NFTs. So whether it's Engine or Matic, or I mean BSC could even be kind of qualify for that. Just places where people can. That's more of a cash grab, but like people, places where marketplaces can exist without being, tied to ETH fees, because you can't. One of the things that'll be really cool is when you can start doing NFTs for like $1 and it's a level up inside of a game, with these microtransactions that can be better supported on either layer 2 or other stuff. Immutable is going to be an ETH layer 2 version of scalability, and they huge backing. God's Unchained is on that. And then the other infrastructure type stuff beyond marketplaces or ecosystem or, like NFT platforms would be tooling. So there's like NFT-Fi, which is like the pawn shop for NFTs. So somebody can, essentially lend their NFTs or unload them. And then like NFTX is pulling liquidity out of NFT. So you turn hash masks into the mask token, that kind of thing there. On that episode I did there, I put tons of links to stuff that Piers talked about. And it's just like, there's tons of stuff being built there. And I'm super bullish on that in the long term. And I'm quite bearish on like the floor punk valuation of 40 ETH or whatever it is right now.
Yep, that makes sense.
And those are the better ones, right? I mean, the punk
punks are great. Punks are great, but they're not 40 ETH for like the worst punk. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
What we're seeing now is people forking it, which is also interesting.
Yeah, you have a bunch of punks actually showing up, right? I've gotten DMs in the last few days from Doge punks, from like a bunch of punks. It's like
Doge punks. Doge punks are cool. Like they texted me too, and I looked at theirs, and like artistically, I actually find them interesting. There's
Did you agree getting your thing made?
There's I don't remember what I said. I get too many DMs. There's Doge punks. There's bastard punks, which I don't even know what those are about. There's unofficial punks where people are doing them of like individuals. Like I think that's actually what's going to pull punks down, is people will start doing these custom punk collections that then people like just as much as punks. And I don't know how all it plays out. I'm not in the art world, but hey,
we're back.
There's no video. It's black screen. Never mind. Now it's there. It's there.
Chat, we're so sorry. Everyone watching this weekly open had a little bit of an intermission. Blockfolio is working smooth. Charts are running smooth. Zoom is not running smooth. So there you go. Monday. We're back.
Wow.
We're back.
What were we talking about?
We're talking NFTs, man. It was the NFT market maker shut us down because we're not as bullish on NFTs as everyone else. It's just lesson learned. We won't talk about NFTs next week.
I was just about to say that was 100% DDoS by someone in the NFT community. 100%.
It's someone with a giant punk, and we're over here talking about the floor should be lower. They cut us off right there. I was gonna say we didn't even get to do our trade idea of the week. What are you guys looking at though? Past NFTs, we still haven't bought. Shout out to everyone that has. Not hating on you, but I still don't see the hype.
Hey, I've been in NFTs, but I've only done.
Yeah, you played some hash masks.
I basically did hash masks. I made money on hash masks, but like I'm not gonna bag hold hash masks. You know what I mean? I'm very bullish on NFT infrastructure, like I said, but we can skip that and talk about what we're actually interested in trading for the week. So we want to do the idea of the week. Is that where we're going?
I think so, man. I mean, I kind of rely on you guys. Don gives me the Bitcoin update, and Brian, I feel like you're going to have an interesting idea this week on the DeFi side of things. So it'll help me get aligned with what I should be trading this week. What are you guys looking at?
Yeah, I can try. I'm gonna share a host disabled participant screen sharing.
Zoom is just.
I'm so bearish Zoom. Can we short
I'm
Zoom?
incredibly bearish Zoom. You're good to go now.
Okay.
We're switching providers next week. I'm shorting Zoom as well. I don't even play legacy markets, and I'm going to open my first short.
All right. So here's my squiggle that did not happen. You can see something here, though.
Wow.
Yeah. This is a strong impulse from the dollar.
Wild stocks are going up. Wow. Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is obviously top watch to me. The 200-day moving average is in an interesting place. These are the like the top, the bottom tick and then the daily close. One of these might also be the weekly close. Yeah, it's basically the weekly close low as well. So this is clearing a very important level to start the week on the Dixie. I can't not watch this. Like I was a denier. If we get a weekly close here or above, like I don't know how I deny a potential move higher, unless one of those, like that daily moving average, sneaks in at 92.9. That's a lot of pressure on the potentially on the market. So is this like just a squeeze on a very crowded trade? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's at the same time today there's a kick up on the GME crap again, AMC crap. These are not good. Like that caused problems in the market. The NASDAQ rollover seems to be in quasi continuation mode, and the rates stuff. Like these are the big things to have watched, and they're still just pretty dangerous. Like it's So I have to watch that because I think it's whether we want it to or not. Like it could cause problems on our Bitcoin continuation that we want. If all those things normalize, I'm very bullish on Bitcoin and even more bullish on Ethereum. But I'm going to keep an eye on making sure Legacy doesn't screw us over this week, with the key being the dollar. If it keeps going up, 92.9 is my line in the sand. I'll go ahead and say that. So I'm watching 92.9 on the Dixie.
And if it goes above, what do you do?
Feel sad. Make trade. Don, you're bringing a good point here where I need to figure out how am I going to actually make adjustments to my portfolio if, the dollar rips. This is where I get in trouble because my technicals and my fundamentals start to become divergent, right?
Yeah.
I'm not bullish on the dollar, but like, how do I make trade adjustments in case the dollar rips?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, even the monthly, I can share this really quick. I'm not really into the traditional markets too much, but I mean, if we reclaim that green level here, I mean, that looks pretty damn good to me. That looks like any kind of, even if you compare it to any kind of bottom in Bitcoin, really, that's just the kind of structure that you want to have, right? And could easily go all the way to resistance up here, which would be funny because that's the diagonal and the horizontal resistance. So, I mean, if that happens next month, would align pretty well.
Look at that 2008 and 2011 Dixie bottom.
Very similar structure. Very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here.
Where do you guys
that
think
double
That's scary,
bottom?
Yeah.
It could end up being the type of thing where what if we just range between 92 and 95 for years? What does that mean for crypto?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe we just go sideways for a year or two or three. I mean, that'd be interesting, right?
It would be.
That.
It's certainly interesting from a what does that mean perspective, and it's worth noting, the Dixie is a relative basis asset. It's the dollar versus everybody else, and I'm not particularly bearish the dollar versus everywhere else. I'm just bearish the dollar versus itself. You know what I mean? So I do actually think there's a bullish case for Bitcoin, but there's some stresses that these things could put on the market during certain periods of time.
Yeah, I can't agree more on that one. I mean, it's just in general, I think Bitcoin cares more about the dollar than about anything else, right? It's just something that we've seen.
The macro lines up so beautifully. March 2020, January 2018, even back in like the 2016 beginning of that bull run, I think it was January 2016 on there. Like those were key reversals in the Dixie that align with bull markets and Bitcoin. And it actually, I think you can go maybe back to 2014. It's a nice correlation that you have to watch. And for the dollar to be doing this, like the stimulus just passed the House or the Senate yesterday.
Yep.
So the U.S. just passed like massive spending legislation.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see your point that you made earlier about it being a crowded trade. It's been a crowded trade for a long time now, so maybe it's just a squeeze. But I mean, if it closes the monthly like it looks right now, I couldn't be anything but bullish for at least a month or two or three.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's March 8th, so there's quite a ways to go.
And that means likely having to be cautious in Bitcoin, right? And elsewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Continued chop, no screaming to 200K type stuff yet.
Yeah.
My mindset has always been when we make new lows, that's when we push to 6-figure Bitcoin, like when the Dixie makes new lows. I feel like we could have some sustained chop if we don't see dollar weakness.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we started with that anyway. I can actually share again with regards to Bitcoin. I mean, we've been kind of chopping for the last few weeks. So I mean, maybe we just keep on chopping in here. As I said earlier, that what I'm watching this week is basically how this is going to play out. I mean, it's a range right now, and you can kind of see how neat today has played out. I love when it does this, where it's dipping into support and then ripping into resistance, and you just get a nice 5% trade out of that. In general, I like my overarching bias has to be bullish as long as we hold this. If we lose it, I mean, then I would expect that to be based on basically the traditional markets, like we also talked about. And then with ETH, I mean, same story as pretty much last week. I hate that ETH is moving so slowly that you can just talk about it month after month and nothing changes.
The levels are the same.
You're like, oh, this just has to move like 10% and then we're good, right? And then it takes like 5 months and it doesn't do anything after. Like this has me properly frustrated. This is pretty sad, like this breakout into break back down again. But yeah, it's only 10%. That's nothing in altcoin world, right? Till it kind of clears resistances.
Yeah, it can happen in half a day.
Yeah, but it's just not, which is frustrating. But I still want to see that. If that happens, I mean, maybe it happens this week. If it does, I think that's going to be a good play on ETH. And I'm not entirely sure if I want to be like trading too much altcoins when we're right at that resistance. But then again, like the DeFi stuff's been a little bit decorrelated. Everything else hasn't. I mean, you can look at the altcoins, right? Litecoin has done really, really poorly. Bitcoin Cash, I mean, I haven't even checked Bitcoin Cash, but yeah, I suspected that was the case. Like against Bitcoin, all of these have done really, really poorly. So I want to see ETH kind of manage to break resistances so I can kind of get into the altcoins again.
Yep. Makes sense.
What are you watching?
So this one's actually a little bit different than something I would normally share. Don, I don't know if you're going to be able to pull up a chart, but like on CoinGecko, there's this coin called Saffron Finance. I don't know if it'll be on TradingView.
Saffron, probably not. But
Saffron.
Is this an altcoin shill?
This is an altcoin
shill.
shill.
Jesus.
Not necessarily a shill, but I think this is really interesting. And I don't have a bag yet. I didn't get my entry the other week, but today's news that just came out, I'm kind of curious that the market is reacting, but maybe not enough. I'm just going to draw a parallel. So Saffron, I saw this come across my timeline like a month ago, and it's basically
Saffron Finance. Sorry,
yeah.
Saffron Finance, yeah, right there. And basically, they are trying to do like tranches, so kind of packaging together different yield farming opportunities, assuming that if you're an institutional investor or a large investor, you don't want to try to yield farm what was that last one that just came out? Big data protocol. You don't want to be yield farming individual pools, individual contracts. There's a lot of risk. So you can package them up in the same way that traditional finance does. And when I saw that like a month ago, I was like, man, that idea is amazing. But it just ripped. It took off without me. And now they just had some news come out where like Coinbase, CMS, Multicoin, all these people are investing. So it looks like it's getting that traction. It just reminds me so much of like Nexus Mutual. And this was 3 or 6 months ago. It was this insurance DeFi protocol that came out. And it was the first one where it was like, all right, this is a protocol that's going to help insure these things. This to me is like one of the first movers in a new kind of DeFi vertical of packaging together all this risk and yield that people are chasing. And I think it could move up. I don't have a technical trade on it. There's no chart or anything really for me to like, do this on. This is on Uniswap still. So it's still on decentralized exchanges, rather big, so I can talk about it. I'm not going to move the market, right? It's already 150 million cap or something, but I think that this could have a very similar trajectory to Nexus in the fact that, look, it's the category move. It's like Link being the Oracle. If you think about oracles in DeFi, you think about Link. If you think about insurance in DeFi, you think about Nexus Mutual. If you think about tranches and kind of packaging up all these yield opportunities, I think Saffron could be that player in Coinbase investing today. I don't know. Look, I'm just saying, something to keep an eye on. It's an interesting one.
I'm mad. Someone shilled this to me that I trust them. January 30th, it was $660.
Yeah.
And I thought it moved too much. So obviously that would have been a pretty good play considering.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that I was in had already moved by the end of January, and my rotation hasn't been perfect on DeFi stuff because people are really wanting the next thing rather than the same thing that went before.
Exactly.
Which is kind of a classic altcoin move. So, yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. I looked at it. I think it was 1,300 to 1,500. It was that first spike, kind of like in February, and I was like, I just want this thing to come back below $1,000. I don't know if that happens. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But I think it's really interesting. Whenever you see like a new project kind of enter a new space where it doesn't have to really compete with other things, it's like, does it gain traction is always the first thing you want to ask, and it looks like this thing has. So could be a good opportunity, something to dive into for anyone interested in new DeFi plays this week.
Yeah, a lot of people get annoyed when you can't chart something easily, but it tends to be an advantage.
Right.
If you can figure out a way to analyze its price action where other people cannot, it tends to be good for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just being early, right?
Yeah.
Because the moment you can chart it, you're probably late on the fundamental side of things.
Yeah, your edge starts to go away. And there are places where you can chart this, but not some of the ones where I normally would, which I find strange. Like, it doesn't seem like it's got a typical Uniswap pool. I don't know. It seems strange to me when I was looking it up, which is partly why I passed on it, which was stupid.
I couldn't wrap I was like, I kind of can't tell if this is like a really good idea, but I don't know if they're going to execute. And now the thing that kind of tipped it off for me was 2 hours ago, that announcement, and it hasn't gotten that much attention. Like, obviously the coin's up today, but DeFi coins do that every day. But this seemed like a pretty fucking big announcement. I mean, you have Coinbase investing, so I don't know, something to watch. I don't rarely look at new DeFi plays. So this one was interesting enough to share.
Yeah, that one, what was the one you mentioned, the big data thing? That looks so obviously stupid to me, but the yields on it were insane.
Yeah.
And everybody acted like it was a secret. They were like, there's this coin out there. And it's like, everybody knows what this is.
Yeah.
Like,
$6 billion locked up or something.
Yeah. Justin Sun moved like $1.6 billion to it, and probably was who dumped it all over people. So.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much everyone got in, right? Alameda got in as well, right? As far as
all the big players hopped in there. I did not. I didn't do anything. Yeah. The only trade I made this weekend was on Uniswap, so I'm okay with it. But I got to figure out what the move is this week, especially like with my thing to watch being the Dixie, and that's telling me to like be cautious. But I don't want to be cautious. I want to ape into something and have fun, So I'm at odds with myself.
We'll see though. Could be a fun week. We'll see. Dixie might ruin it, but I still think things look pretty damn good.
Yeah.
At the weekly open.
We got somebody saying what's going to happen to BTC. If you weren't here for the first part, we talked about kind of the fact that we think it's got to go sideways, but that it cleared the basic level. So as a recap, we did have two versions of the stream here. So
Yep.
Luke's going to pull these together.
Yep.
We're going to get ourselves together. We're going to short Zoom this week. That's probably the winning trade of the week, right?
That will be the winning trade.
Just buy some out of the money puts on Zoom. That's what I'll do. I'm going to pull up my trading app here, and then off we go.
You can actually trade on FTX too. So there you go.
Yeah, you can trade Zoom on FTX. I didn't even think about that. Or at least some people can. I can't as an American. But,
true.
Yeah, they limit their products. They're on the FTX side. You have to use FTX US, but Blockfolio has a very similar product structure, whether you're international or US, and you can go to weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio to do that. We're gonna leave it there.
We'll leave it there. And as Brian said, I'm gonna be stitching these together. So if you're watching this stream, I'm gonna put them all together. Zoom crushed us. We're shorting Zoom. Hope you guys have a good week. A lot of trades ahead. Peace out. We'll see you next Monday, 11 a.m.
Later.